online because that's really what it is. It's the photographs and stuff come through the feed.
Right.
And I was like, what? Because she had like
because she did put it out
stuck
there.
under the bed, like the booty's up in the air with her head stuck under the bed.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the
Hell
consequences
yeah.
when you said no?
Puppy invited me for weeks asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to. That's what my assistant said. I was like, oh.
50 Cent dropping some exclusive behind-the-scenes footage that Terrence Howard supposedly sent him, and it's all about Diddy's so-called Freakoff. Terrence Howard is finally letting it all out. And the tea, it's boiling hot for years. Terrence has hinted that he got blackballed from the industry for refusing to play into certain shady games behind the scenes. But now, with all these new claims flying around Diddy, it's like the curtains are finally being pulled back. People are starting to see just who was calling the shots behind those velvet ropes. And let's be real, Diddy ain't the only name being dragged into this madness. Terrence didn't stop there. He threw in some serious shade about Diddy's alleged fling. Young Miami word is she was involved in those wild parties too. But what really got people clutching their phones is what Terrence claims he caught her doing on camera. And let's just say it's way wilder than anyone expected. This ain't your regular industry gossip. This one's about to shake some tables. What's even crazier is that Terrence dropped all this without anyone even asking. Nobody even knew he had receipts on Diddy. Then bam, out of nowhere, he sits down on a podcast and just lets it rip. And from the way he told it, his experience lines up way too well with the stuff others have been whispering about Diddy for years. So let's get into this next layer of madness, all that talk about shady setups and uncomfortable situations.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to. That's what my assistant said. I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction.
Yeah, Terrence Howard says he got a front row seat to it. According to him, Diddy reached out saying he needed help with acting, but the vibe didn't match the script. Now, let's be real, Diddy's done a little acting here and there, but nothing major that would require a pro like Terrence Howard to coach him up. Still, Terrence pulled up thinking it was a business meeting. But once he arrived, the energy flipped real quick. Diddy allegedly started moving different, like he had a whole other agenda behind that invite. Terrence wasn't having none of it. He made it clear that he don't play those games. He shut the situation down on the spot and made his exit, no questions asked. But it didn't stop there. Terrence went a step further and claimed he wasn't the only one. Diddy allegedly tried to get close to like that. According to him, every single man who's been to one of Diddy's infamous parties had something happen. And let's just say it wasn't regular party vibes. He even said these guys lost their man cards at those wild events. This ain't no innocent hangout. It's sounding real suspicious behind those party doors. And what's even more disturbing, this ain't even the first time Terrence has called out these kinds of moves in Hollywood. Terrence Howard's been saying it loud for a while now. He got pushed out the game not because of a career slump, but because he refused to play by Hollywood's twisted rulebook. A few years back, he opened up about what really made him walk away from acting. And it had nothing to do with being tired or not landing roles. He straight up said Hollywood was trying to strip him of his manhood. Once he stood his ground and said no to their shady ways, that's when the whispers started. People began treating him like the issue, labeling him difficult, and trying to flip the narrative, just like what they've done to countless women in the industry who dared to speak out. Same blueprint, different target. So when Terrence announced his retirement from acting back in December 2022, it came out of nowhere. Folks were stunned. He was still booking major roles. His fan base was strong and everything looked solid from the outside. No public drama, no scandal, no beef with studios, just a clean exit. Or so it seemed, but Terrence claimed the truth was hiding behind the curtain. According to him, they were putting him in situations that made him uncomfortable, like trying to test how far he'd go to keep working. and when he wouldn't fold, they started slowly edging him out.
When you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You should have a greater desire than being a man.
Terrence Howard said they tried to hit him where it hurt his manhood, and when he stood tall and pushed back, Hollywood didn't like that one bit. Before anyone knew it, he was out, just like that quiet exit, no fireworks, just gone. He did eventually step out of retirement. But ever since, he's been moving real cautious. Now that he's back in the spotlight, Terrence isn't biting his tongue anymore. He's been pulling the curtain back, calling out what he says is the dark, shady side of the entertainment industry. One of the biggest things he keeps bringing up, the constant pressure he felt to wear a dress on screen, something he says he was never going for. According to Terrence, those roles had nothing to do with the plot. It wasn't about the art. It felt like a setup to humiliate him or slowly chip away at his masculinity. He stood 10 toes down and said no. And honestly, it's not just him. This ain't some new rumor either. Over the years, a bunch of black male actors have come forward saying the same exact thing, that producers tried to slide in dress-wearing scenes that made no sense to the storyline. Comedian Cat Williams even went off about this in an interview with Club Shay Shay. He said Hollywood's been playing this game for a while, and the pressure to act feminine or wear a dress often comes with some very tempting checks, but Cat kept it solid. He revealed that he turned down some major money more than once to protect his integrity. According to him, that pressure to give up your image for a check way more common than folks realize. And Terrence, he's just the latest to say he ain't going for it. When the buzz around Cat Williams' interviews started shaking the internet, Terrence Howard didn't waste a second. He jumped in with his own truth, and what he had to say, it hit hard. Y'all remember the whispers, right? Folks saying Terrence got fired because of his so-called bad temper, or claiming he was just too tough to work with. That was the word on the street for years. But once Cat started exposing how deep things go in Hollywood, Terrence stepped up to shut that whole narrative down. He made it clear he didn't get replaced because he was a problem on set. He got replaced because he stood his ground. He wasn't about to let the industry clown him or take away his pride. And in his words, that's exactly why they cut him loose. Terrence dropped a powerful quote: "My daddy taught me never take the vertebra out your back or the base out your throat. I ain't raised no sheep, I raised men. Stay a man." Then he added, "Being a man comes with a curse now, because this society ain't built for real men anymore. Everything's androgynous. The more successful men are nowadays, and the more soft they look." And he didn't stop there. In another interview, Terrence doubled down, saying, "There's been a secret push to strip masculinity away from strong black men because real strength is seen as a threat." He claimed the man has been demonized with the new formula. Most men are made to be effeminate, to lose their power and forget their strength. Terrence Howard didn't hold back when he said, "They let white men be strong, but when it's a black man standing tall, suddenly it's a threat." He wasn't about to shrink himself just to fit into someone else's script. He added, "I'm not removing any part of myself just to make your story work. Maybe it's your story that needs to grow."
To protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely.
Can I need no? You here, get your number.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Come on. Because early on you was accusing me of being...
According to him, men should be allowed to stand in their strength and appreciate a woman's beauty at the same time period. And with all the heat he's been bringing lately, or especially with these wild